WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. Thank you for tuning to WVTC Radio Detroit and the Community Bell Show with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner, Edna Bell. Stay tuned for insightful information Detroiters will find valuable. Text a friend and tell them to watch with you for news you can use. And now, your host, Edna Bell.
Hello, hello, hello. It is Monday at 4 o'clock, so it must be the Community Bell Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome to everybody to the Community Bell Show. It's 4 o'clock. It's beautiful outside. The sun is shining. Thank the Lord. It is not raining. So, it's a good day. It is supposed to be a great week. And all of those of you who listen to the show know what Monday is this. It's the second Monday of the month, which means it's Real Estate Monday with Ken Scott. Ken, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you.
We are so happy to have you as always, because you always bring us such good information, information that people need. And we've been hearing so much about the real estate market over probably the last year, but particularly the last week, they've been talking about the real estate market, about how there are no houses and the inventory is low. And for those that are available, the people are outbidding each other. And I mean, there's all sorts of stuff going on. So Ken, talk to us. What's going on with real estate?
All that's true.
all of the above. Huh?
All of the above. All of the above. It's a very competitive market at this point in time. I can't say enough about preparation meets opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And for those individuals that are doing it at the 11th hour, you have to have done it somewhere along the 5th or 6th hour in order to get your offer accepted. So
11 is too late, huh?
11 is too late. You might as well go to sleep with everybody else.
Wow,
No,
isn't that something?
Market.
So what's going on with? Talk to us about real estate.
Depending on where you are, and I just saw some crazy numbers last night that someone had made an offer on a home, and for whatever reason, they offered everything that they could offer: appraisal guarantee, escalation clause. They put more money down than their competitors, and by somewhere around $25,000, and still lost.
Oh my gosh!
And
oh my goodness!
Let me say this: for those of you that are in the market that have high expectations, this is not the kind of market for you.
You better lower those expectations, so
lower those expectations, because at this point in time, what you want is 80-20. I mean, you want something that's comfortable, that's going to last, that is standing properly, that's working properly. You can't go for all the bells and whistles at this point. And please, whatever you do, do not max out your pre-approval letter, because you have no negotiation power, no margin for error. So please do not do that.
So okay, now tell them what you just said. Somebody's not going to understand what you just said about your pre-approval letter.
Absolutely. If you're approved for 200,000, do not go up to 190 or 200. I would say even look for something in the 170 range, because what you want to do is have money to place down over and beyond the asking price that is going to possibly position you to get that home. If you go up to 190 and what have you, you're in a whole different tier, and you can say that your chances are extremely lessened by that.
Okay, so if you're pre-approved for 200,000, and the house is on the market for 150, and people are bidding crazy, you can go up to maybe 170.
Yeah, 170, something around there. But at the same time, you have to put a lot down as well. And keep in mind that if you have no reserves or haven't saved or don't have a 401k or 403b or whatever the case may be, you're kind of in the back part of that market.
You're locked out, pretty much.
You're pretty much locked out. And for you that are passing up those homes that need repair because of deferred maintenance and what have you, that need a lot of work and what have you, there's reconstruction or rehab loans out there for you, specifically the ones at Liberty Bank and others, that will allow you to buy that home and have it catered to your own specific needs. And then at the same time, still receive $15,000, and if you're a DPS CD worker, $20,000 grant for the purchase of the home and the rehab of the home.
See, I think people, again, going back to doing your homework, starting early and knowing what you're looking for and what advantages you can get. That's an important point when you say that you can buy a home. You like the house, but it needs a few things.
Absolutely.
Get that house, and then say, okay, I can take care of these few things to the owner. The owner is probably going to say, oh, okay.
Absolutely.
And
not only that, I mean, we've discussed this. Stephen and I have discussed this. Stephen is the mortgage lender for Liberty Bank, and we've discussed this in great detail. For those individuals that are looking in communities like the Bagley community, Fitzgerald community, East English Village, Morningside, areas like that that need some work and what have you, you've been passing over that house. That house has stayed on the market for X amount of days, possibly even in the hundreds and what have you, is being overlooked because no one is seeing the true value in what that house is bringing and what that house could bring if given the proper rehab. And keep in mind, you can do the rehab. At the same time, use that $15,000 for Liberty Bank and still have equity in the home after the transaction has been completed.
Yes. And a lot of times I think people pass by a house and say it needs painting.
Right.
Or needs the lawn needs a little help or something of that nature. Don't pass those by because that's an easy fix.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If the house needs a roof and everything, if the house needs
a driveway, let's say,
whatever the case may be, utilize that in order to use your negotiation skills at their best. I mean, don't rule that home out. If it's on a nice block, if it's a block of homeowners and what have you, always look up at the roof of the home that is surrounding the home that's listed. And if that roof is looking good, that grass is looking good, you can pretty much tell that a homeowner is living in that home as opposed to a renter.
Exactly.
That all renters are not keeping up on maintenance and what have you, but at the same time, it's a test of time that you look at this and you can tell what's pretty much a homestead community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And those are the stable communities. You mentioned Fitzgerald and Morningside and East English Village, Bagley, Aviation Subdivision, Grandmont Rosedale. All of those places are stable communities where most of the people own their homes and they are really cognizant about keeping up their property and making sure their neighbors are keeping their properties up.
Absolutely. So, and one thing that's very seldom researched is the community itself, whether it has a community association, whether it's an active community association, the one that cares about their property and the residents in it. There are various community associations around the city of Detroit that just have incredible neighborhood associations and block clubs.
Yes.
And they help you. I mean, we're undergoing or in the midst of Motor City Makeover right now.
Yep.
These communities are going to be out over the weekend and every weekend in the month of May in order to beautify their communities.
Yes.
So don't discount that when you see a property that's in deferred maintenance.
Yeah.
That needs some touches.
Yeah, just some a little tender loving care. Just loving care. That's all that it needs. And it makes such a difference. It makes a
huge difference. And not to mention, get involved in that community association, because what you want to do is add to the investment that you've made in your
and protect your investment.
Yeah,
you want to, if you put that much money into a home, you want to make sure that what you're putting it into is going to continue and increase in value.
Absolutely. And Detroit is full of little pockets that are reminiscent of that.
Yes, boy, aren't there? Lots of pockets. If you drive around Detroit, you can always go to a place and say, "Oh, I didn't know this was here."
Exactly.
Oh, look at this. Look at how they've maintained this area. And there are lots of them. Unfortunately, what I really hate is a lot of times when you see national news shows, they only concentrate on the blighted areas. Absolutely. They don't show all the beautiful homes and the beautiful neighborhoods we have. And we just have some absolutely gorgeous neighborhoods. I would say more than any other city in the country.
Very much so. And it used to be a time when people would ride down the expressways and wouldn't get off until from suburbs to downtown. Now, those individuals that used to get off at the ramps downtown and what have you are taking the ramps in the middle of the city and what have you. And that's also causing some issues as it relates to being competitive and making an offer. Because those individuals that were in the suburbs are downsizing. Their house was probably smaller than the ones in Detroit, but at the same time, they were getting double the value. Yes. Now they can sell that home, buy a home in Detroit, fix it up and everything, and still have the other half of that value.
Exactly.
So they're empty nesters, or you got some young kids that have been given money and what have you in order to buy the homes or be competitive in the investment market that just are ruling you out and what have you. And it's all because preparation meets opportunity, and we did not prepare for that 11th hour.
Exactly. So it's just so much fun to watch what's going on with homes, and you pass by one day and the next day it's gone.
Absolutely.
And they're not staying on the market long at all. I mean, I can attest to that. My daughter Alicia was selling one of her houses. How long did it stay on the market? Less than 2 weeks?
Less than a week.
Was it that fast? A week?
It was less than a week.
Wow. And it's in one of those neighborhoods that people just kind of fly by sometimes and don't stop to look. And that neighborhood has maintained itself over the years.
Absolutely.
And new people are moving in all the time. They've got this beautiful park right down the street. And so it's things are going fast.
I had a conversation with Alvin Horn, who is the assessor for the city of Detroit, and stated that regardless of where you are in the city of Detroit, whatever district you're in, whatever neighborhood you're in, what is assessing a higher value now than it ever has before over the last 4 to 5 years.
Really?
Okay, so anything in Detroit is just catching on in value like nobody's business.
Wow.
You can't pay values.
And for what you get for the money, and people come here from all over the country and look at the houses in Detroit and how much they cost and compare those to homes in other parts of the country. And they say, I can't believe this.
Absolutely.
You get a house with a driveway and a backyard.
Absolutely. You got to keep in mind that years ago, we had the best housing stock of any major city.
Yes.
The communities were kept up at that time. Fortunately for us, a lot of them have been maintained over the course of the years and what have you. But at the same time, not necessarily that each house has been maintained. For those homes that are still in the neighborhood, that are still in those neighborhoods where they were maintained, that value of the other homes are going to help you increase the value of yours and give you the equity that you need in order to do repairs and what have you.
Exactly. It's quite amazing to see what has happened over these numbers of years. Had friends who lived in the DC, Maryland area, and they came and looked at the houses here. They said, you mean you get all of this for that amount of money?
Absolutely.
And what they get is less than half. They don't have driveways. They don't have backyards.
Exactly.
So it's a whole different world.
And you're paying
twice as much.
You're paying twice as much, but at the same time, like you stated, the square footage that you're getting. If you walk around in a circle and everything, you're gonna get dizzy for a while. So have some time to grow and your family to grow and what have you. And if you need to bring someone in with you, bring someone into you, but you've already made the necessary investment.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you have the tax abatements, the property tax abatements called the NEZ homestead.
I was just going to ask you about those. You were thinking in my mind. That's what I was going to ask you to talk about.
I mean, the homestead property tax abatements have gone down percentage wise, but at the same time, it's been dispersed from 52 subdivisions or communities to 152 subdivisions and communities throughout the seven district city of Detroit. So, regardless of where you locate, you're going to be near or in one of those neighborhood enterprise zone homestead districts. So that's going to give you extra value on top of what you are already getting value for in buying that home.
Absolutely. And tell people what else they get when they're in one of those zones.
When you're one of those zones and what have you, you're getting anywhere from 15 to 20% off your summer taxes. That helps a great deal with your mortgage payment. I mean, that extends how much home you can buy, what have you. So you're in a catbird seat if preparation meets opportunity.
There we go. Just take advantage of it.
Absolutely. And don't operate on that 11th hour because what you're doing is doing a disservice to yourselves.
Yeah, that 11th hour will get you every time.
Too
close to midnight.
Sleeping.
That'll get you every time. Go back, Ken, and talk a little bit about we've talked about this before, but I think we ought to continue to bring it up, and that is the advantages that you can get from some of the lenders if you are borrowing in Detroit, Highland Park, and those areas.
Absolutely. I mentioned Liberty Bank. They're offering a $15,000 grant for anyone that's purchasing within the city of Detroit. Keep in mind that their minimum credit score is 600, but at the same time, if you have student loans, if you have bankruptcies and what have you, that might not be the financial institution that you want to go to.
Okay.
You want to go to possibly a Opportunity Resource Fund, which is a nonprofit agency within the city of Detroit that's offering mortgages. They're not credit score driven, but they are character driven.
Oh.
On your last 2 years of whether you paid your bills on time. It doesn't matter if it's low or not, as long as you've been paying your bills on time, because it's the most recent credit that affects you. It's not the 3 to 5, 4 to 5 years before that. It's what you've done now. Have you evolved in your credit worthiness?
Okay.
Over the last 2 years, have you paid everyone on time? And that's what they're looking for.
Okay.
They're looking for character.
And do they provide any kind of grants at all?
They do, but at the same time, on the fund that I'm speaking of, the mortgage that I'm speaking of is called the Opportunity Resource Fund Fresh Mortgage, meaning that you're getting a fresh opportunity and what have you, given your credit history.
Okay.
And with that, there is no bundling of down payment assistance. Okay. But other programs, you can link to those as well. All financial institutions, specifically banks and credit unions and mortgage brokers, are helping in the preparation of those individuals that want to buy homes, regardless of whether it be Detroit or suburbs.
Okay. And I think, again, go back to that Liberty Bank money, $15,000. Everybody, it is a grant. It is not a loan.
Correct.
It is a grant. Grant means you don't have to pay it back.
Big difference. Mr. offers down payment assistance in the form of a loan. Liberty Bank offers it in the form of a grant.
That's big time. $15,000. Exactly. That really is big time. If you don't have to pay that, that's enough money for you to help out with be doing it at home or fix whatever it is you need to fix in that house. And that's another reason for you to look at homes in a different way. Don't look at the perfect.
Absolutely. Oh, and one other thing about Opportunity Resource Fund. Their loan range is from $10,000 to $200,000.
Oh, that's a huge range.
Which is probably the lowest of any entity within the city of Detroit or the state of Michigan. They only operate in Detroit. They only provide mortgages in Detroit and Grand Rapids. So for those individuals that are looking to buy homes and what have you, and hopefully it doesn't need that much work and what have you, but at the same time, this is a means to get you in the door.
Now, Opportunity Resource Fund, is that a corporation? Is it a company? Is it
It's a nonprofit agency.
It's a nonprofit agency. How are they funded?
Through a lot of grants and a lot of sponsorship.
Okay.
And I think their website is oppfund.org.
oppfund.org.
Yes.
Opportunity Resource Fund, everybody, a nonprofit trying to help you get into your house.
And let me also state this. Their purpose initially was to help those individuals that were turned down from traditional banks.
Mm-hmm. So did you have to have been turned down from other banks in order to go to Opportunity Fund, or could you go to Opportunity Resource Fund initially?
You can now.
Okay.
But initially, the charter stated that you had to be turned down. That isn't the case anymore.
Oh, well, that's good.
But there are plenty of people that fall within that category, though.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure there are.
Okay, so keep that in mind as well.
I'm sure there are. See, that makes a huge difference.
It does.
It makes a huge difference. How about the training you have to go through? Do you have to have completed the housing training to get some of these funds?
Absolutely. In a lot of ways, with the foreclosure crisis happening somewhere between 2007 and 2014, one of the stipulations that you have to have now, if you're receiving funding, specifically down payment assistance or closing cost assistance, is that you must take an certified or approved HUD certified class in order to be able to use those funds. Now, in a lot of cases, that's the last thing that people do. But at the same time, that should be one of the first things that you do, because you garner so much education throughout the process that you'll know how to handle it once that situation comes up.
Yeah. And if something comes up and you haven't finished your training, that may put you in some jeopardy in terms of limiting the amount of time.
So it will delay the closing.
Yes. So you want to look at getting that training. Talk about the training a little bit, Ken, because I know you do the training.
Absolutely. The training includes information on fair housing, credit, budget, mortgages, shopping for a home, making an offer, the inspection process, the final lending process, going over insurance, going over the closing of the particular home. So, and what's going on after the sale of the home has been completed via you being handed a warranty deed.
Okay. And does that training also talk about being a good neighbor? Oh, can you hear me, Ken? I think did we lose Ken? When he's on the move, sometimes we lose him. But the training is so important for people to get involved in it. Again, you don't know when that home may come up, and you want to be ready when that home comes up. You may not be able to get your loan at the point in time when you want, because you haven't been trained. And that training is so important. And Ken, I was just asking if that training includes how to be a good neighbor. And Ken is still getting back online, and he'll be with us in just a second. But I think being a good neighbor is an important part of buying a new house, of moving it into any community. You know, do you cut your grass? Do you paint your house? Do you make sure there's no trash and debris around your property? Your trash can, when you put your trash can out, you bring it back in at the appropriate time. You don't have junk laying out in front of your house. That's all about being a good neighbor. And that's part of your charge also, is when you're moving into a home, be a good neighbor. Uh, don't do things that you know will just make your whole block, your whole street be less than it can be. So make sure you pick up the trash around your house. Make sure you don't have folks all over the place all the time making all sorts of noise and cars and all that kind of stuff. And please don't park on the front lawn. Please don't park on the front lawn.
All
Please.
right, can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yes. but please be a good neighbor and pick the trash up and cut your
Absolutely.
grass, and water your grass, and make sure your house continues to be painted. And as I said again, don't park in the front yard. Don't have a repair shop going on in your front yard, in your backyard. Those things are important to keep your neighborhood safe, to keep your neighborhood viable, to keep your property values up, to make other people want to move into that neighborhood because they see this is a wonderful neighborhood. These people care about their properties. They care about how they treat their neighbors. They care about what's going on in their community. And so, yeah, I think I might like to live here. These seem like a lot of nice people that I'm going to just have fun being with as my neighbors and living around, and making sure that the property value is maintained, that the property value goes up. That's what you want to do. You don't want to lose any value in your home. You want it to continue to go up. And again, generational wealth is many times created by owning that house. And so make sure that when you're ready to leave, if you want to leave it to someone instead of sell it, then that person, that niece, nephew, child, grandchild, has a property that they would be proud of. And so it's important that you maintain that property and be a good neighbor in your communities.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at the neighborhoods that are considered desirable by those individuals that are buying, you got to understand that they didn't get that way overnight.
Mm-hmm.
There was some work being done by the community association, by the block club, or by the resident that lived next door that kept their properties up so you could think that their neighborhood was attractive.
Exactly.
And that value in investing in their neighborhood. So do them the same turnaround as far as keeping your property up once you get it.
Mm-hmm. And does that training include that kind of conversation, Ken, in terms of keeping your property up and who you should contact if you need some help and how you keep your property up and that kind of thing?
We try to incorporate that in. HUD kind of stresses what we need to cover, but at the end, I try to cover as much of that as possible. You know that I'm involved in my community,
Yeah.
so the reason why I incorporate that, regardless of the constraints of HUD and what have you. But at the same time, that should be part of the process anyway.
Mm-hmm.
If you're making an investment, don't you want your investment to go up as opposed to go down?
Exactly. Exactly. One of the other things I think, Ken, you might want to include in that training is voter registration. Give them a voter registration form when they finish the class and they know what house they're going to move into. They close the deal. Okay, this is your new residence. Here's the voter registration form. Fill it out. Make sure it's turned in so you can really be an active, involved member in this community and you have a say in who represents you.
Absolutely, and I will. I like the fact that you mentioned that because once the process has been completed by you getting your warranty deed and what have you, you have to go to the Secretary of State and change your address.
Yes.
If you're changing your address at the Secretary of State, at that same time, you should change your registration.
Yes. If you're registered, it's amazing. Some folks aren't even registered to vote. So that'll give them an opportunity to do that.
That's true, too. And on an election that's as major as the one that's coming up,
oh my,
you want to make sure that you have the necessary tools to keep your neighborhood the way it is, if not enhance your neighborhood.
Exactly. And I think
so, and you want someone to think along those lines when you are in the polling place trying to elect that individual.
Exactly. Sometimes people don't think about that when the elections come up. It's important who you elect represents you and your view of your community.
Exactly.
You got to make sure that they have you have a common view with that person.
Very much so.
Mhm.
Very much so.
So I just want people to remember and realize how important it is that you represent people who are of like mind with you. You elect people rather who are of like mind with you. And you just mentioned it. We've got important elections coming up. Oh my goodness. Really important elections coming up over the next few months.
Mhm.
A lot of important things coming up. So we're just happy that we're going to be able to continue to talk to them about how that impacts them financially.
Very much so. And let's go back to the credit worthiness.
Yes.
For those individuals that are looking to buy a home and get some help with the down payment assistance and what have you, in most cases, they're asking for a credit score of 640.
Okay.
640 is attained over time. You didn't get in this situation by yourself based on all of the factors that are putting you in this uh, derogatory state, say it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You have to work on your credit. You have to work on it monthly, daily in some instances, but definitely monthly to the point where you improve your credit score. One of the best things that happened to me was I had gone, I was listening to a gentleman on PBS. His name is Dave Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying, pay off your debt, pay off your debt. And at that point in time, real estate was excellent. I mean, I couldn't believe how excellent it was.
You were doing real well, huh?
You see the smile on my face?
Money was flowing, huh?
Oh man, I had so much money, it was pathetic. And I had the money, but at the same time, you as a young adult and what have you, you into partying with your friends and what have you, and pretty much wasn't paying off anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in that state. So watching Dave Ramsey on PBS or Channel 56 at that point, told you to pay off your debts and what have you. Don't accumulate more debt than you can pay off in a short period of time, being a month. But at the same time, I had pulled my credit report from annualcreditreport.com at that point, and they told me that I had $3,000 worth of debt. And I'm like, shoot, I got that in my pocket and everything.
I
I
gave
like,
you that.
but it was going towards something else. So I pulled the 3,000 out because I had just recently had a closing, and I pulled the 3,000 out, and I went over to Michigan First Credit Union, that was located at that time on Puritan and Tuller.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
and I went over there, and I said, "Listen, Crystal, I'm gonna pay this off and everything." She said, "No, you're not." I'm like, "Hold up! I just heard Dave Ramsey on PBS and everything. He said pay off your debt."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "No, what I want you to do is I want you to get a secured loan for that 3,000. And in doing so, we're going to pay off your debt with that 3,000 secured loan." I said, "What's the importance of that? I have the cash now. I don't have to owe anybody after I paid it off." She said, "That's just the point. If you pay it off, then you still have to build your credit up again. But if you get a secure loan and you pay it off and you pay us back on a monthly basis, then you're not only paying off the debt, you're increasing your credit score on a monthly basis."
Wow.
It didn't take long for it to hit me. So I
This is-
followed her. I followed her instructions. I went from a 550 credit score to a 700 in 6 months.
Wow. And you know,
Uh,
you
and
need
I,
people
and I
like
did it
that.
repeatedly after that.
You need people like that in the financial
Yes, you do.
institutions to help you understand. Because most people would never have thought about that. You're in the business
Not at
and you
all.
didn't think about it.
Not at all. And
Yeah.
keep in mind, I was nowhere as astute as I am now about it.
Mm-hmm.
So when she said that, it made sense. Pay that into a secured loan and constantly rebuild your credit after that.
Yeah.
And I have subsequently done that a couple more times. And I call it playing with your money.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can play with your money and lose it like you play in a lottery.
Uh-huh.
Or you can play with your money and gain from it.
Exactly.
Okay. And I was playing with my house money.
And
This was money that I
you were
already
doing
had.
it too.
Yeah,
You were
exactly.
winning big time.
This was my money
Mm-hmm.
that I was putting in to myself.
Isn't that something? And
And
that's why it's so important.
the only person that could win was myself.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that something?
Yeah. But and this gives me brings me back to the analogy where if you're renting presently, you're paying into someone else's dream and not yours.
Ah, good point. Good
Okay.
point.
You're helping them build an investment that is not doing you any good other than supplying you a place to lay your head.
Mm-hmm.
But if
And
you
that
had
could
done
be
that
your place. That could be your
exactly, but it's
place.
not yours.
Mm-hmm.
It's not yours. I mean, you keep building their dream up and building their dream up. Sooner or later, they're riding around in a Mercedes or a new BMW or something like that, or Audi or whatever the case may be. And they coming to your door to collect rent every month.
Mm-hmm. To pay their car note.
Pay their car note. Pay their house. So
Exactly.
those are some things that you have to be cognizant of.
Wow.
Don't pay in someone else's dream, pay in your own.
Play in your own dream.
Okay?
Exactly. Create your own, not
Exactly.
somebody else's.
Exactly. It's
Mhm.
called black wealth.
Yes. Yes.
Okay?
That's how you get there.
That's how you get there. You keep investing in it until it has turned over several times. Um, One of our comedians said, you can be rich or you can be wealthy.
Yes.
Rich is when you win the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
How long is that going to last?
Yes.
But wealth is when you constantly reinvest in yourself to the point where it starts helping you and future descendants of yours.
Yes. And you're making money on your money while you sleep.
Exactly. And I want to
Mm-hmm.
tell you something. That statement couldn't be further from the truth. I had an opportunity while Booker T. Washington was in full bloom, the Booker T. Washington Business Association,
Yes. I
and
missed
I
you.
happened to be under the mentorship at that point in time of Don Barton, who
Yeah.
was my mentor at
Uh-huh.
Barton Cable when I was installation supervisor over there, and then Don Davis, who owned First Independence Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And Booker T. Washington Business Association had a 5 minute meet the business owner, and it was kind of like speed dating.
Uh-huh.
And what they did was had an opportunity. I was blessed to have the opportunity to sit down with both of them at the same time. And Don
Wow.
Davis brought this up. He said, invest in something that you're going to make money while you sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, you will never be a broke a day in your life.
Mm-hmm. That's something.
They have both passed on. But that word of advice still rings in my head.
Exactly. And that's where I heard it from Don Davis when we were at some event. And that's where I heard it. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yes.
he was a strong proponent of that.
Yes, he was. Yes,
And
he was.
I bank with them. I have thank God I have the tutelage of Don while he was alive to help us with Barton Cable.
Yes. Yes.
But those two men they were unselfish in their dissemination of knowledge and business acumen.
Absolutely. Two of the
Yeah.
best. Two
Two
of the best. Two of the best.
And I wish that was happening more. I can't say that Booker T. Washington Business Association is not doing that now, but at the same time, I wish I would hear about it
Do they
more.
still meet, Ken?
Yeah, they still meet. I'm pretty sure they do.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they do. And I mean, I want them to do more. Matter of fact, once we get off this phone, I will call the past director that I know of and see if I can get more involved. But at the same time,
I'd love to have them on the show because a lot of people outside of our age don't know about business Booker T. Washington.
Absolutely. I will reach out and I will let you know as soon as I get off this line.
Okay, that would be great.
We can pull this off and everything. But
that would be great. Now
that meant so much to me to be sitting down with people that I learned from.
Two legends. Legends. Yes. Before we go, Sandy, I hope you're there someplace. I've been sending out emails and forwarding my Facebook to people to vote for WVTC for the Stellar Awards for the best local radio show podcast. And I think we've been nominated. Are you there, Sandy? Yes, we got it.
Okay, good.
Stellar Award nomination, Internet Radio Station of the Year, WVTC.
I will help you all out as soon as I get off the line.
To WVTC, we got there. It's a wonderful thing. Thing. You'll hear more about that. Ken, as always, thank you so much for all the knowledge you bring to us and taking the time to just talk to people about what they need to do to take care of themselves and their families in the area of real estate. And I mean, people, we just need to continue to tell them. And I know they're going to say, you talked about that before on one of your shows. Yes, we did. We're going to talk about it some more. Your credit. We're going to keep talking about it and make sure that you understand it and that you are moving forward. And as Ken just said, making money while you sleep. That's what we want you to do. That's what thank you, Ken. We appreciate you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having me on again.
Absolutely. And now, as we always end our show with the quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, not everyone can be famous, but everyone can be great, because greatness is determined by service. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week. Community Bell Show signing off. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Community Bell with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. This broadcast was brought to you by WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, tell a friend to tune in. We'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to the Community Bell Show, right here on WVTC Radio Detroit. You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.